next year. So speaking of companies, as mentioned, so even big companies are, are being affected by the pandemic. So more so than, than others, and you would be surprised which companies are doing well and which are not so doing well. Now, one would expect that even though in during this pandemic that not many will survive this in the long run, but obviously as a large corporation, big firms, they can, what do you call this? They can stabilize in the near future, not more so for the small businesses, right? And as we can clearly see here, so let's take a look here. Yeah. So how the pandemic is crushing companies' earnings now in the likes of Jollibee, PLDT, Globe, Pure Gold, and many more. Now, obviously, it depends on the industry which are significantly affected the most and which are significantly affected the least. Now, obviously, basic commodities, food, water, and the likes are, would tend to do well. But in the case of Jollibee, they're having difficulty because in terms of they're trying to expand their business, they bought other companies. Yeah, they bought other companies, so which have dramatically affected their bottom lines. But in terms of other companies like PLDT Telecommunications, PLDT Globe are doing enough, doing well to not necessitate a negative growth. On the other hand, Pure Gold on the other hand is doing really, really well. They're earning in terms of billions, even better than they were before. Now, obviously, who are doing poorly, obviously, those are considered non-essentials, non in leisure spaces. Tourism is another. Even malls. Actually, I've been to the mall recently, and you can see businesses are either some are shut down, some are open, but sales are not the way that they were before because people are apprehensive of going out. It's not yet safe. I don't know how long would that before that happens that people are can go out again. And also the entertainment, especially I passed by to the movie theater one time and I was thinking, what's the last movie that I watched, and then what's the movie that we'll be able to watch? Is it a year from now, 2 years from now? That's something that we all miss doing, recreational activities, but that's not possible as of the moment. Now, obviously, we're talking of different companies here, so let's take a look closer look here. Yeah, in terms of earnings, I was saying earlier. So many of them have lost significantly. Now, none more so than the restaurant industry here. So you can see here, their growth is in the negative almost 300%. So they're not doing too well. Now, obviously, they're dependent on foot traffic here. So you can see here that, that's why they're doing badly. Now, for the other industries, they're not doing so well as well. So if you're in the cement industry, almost a negative 100, conglomerates, retailers, power industries, and as well in the properties, they're all in the negative, with the only exception of the consumer goods manufacturing, obviously because it's a basic necessity that they're doing, not well, but doing barely enough to survive, right? And even big blue chip companies, as I mentioned here, if you take a look at the chart here, a big glaring drop off is the Ayala Corporation, right? Wherein they are generating almost 40 billion from a year before and to just a measly 10 bill, almost 8 billion this year. But still, if you look at it, many of them still earning billions. So it's not detriment to those big companies. It's, I think, more so to the small businesses because they don't have the big cachet of in terms of the resources to keep them afloat, maintain those businesses, and retain those employees. But obviously, they're not immune. And you can see here, Bloomberry is one that has a negative revenue here. So not just that, you can see Jollibee did really poorly here from a positive 2.5 billion to negative 12. So meaning, what happened here? What could they be doing wrong here? So you can see here, the pandemic only goes to show that business decisions do have a significant effect, whether in the short term or in the long term. If businesses are not prepared to consider the ramifications in the short and long term, when a pandemic like this occurs, it will exponentially show how vulnerable a business is. And hopefully business can recover with the next few months and hopefully within the year. And take a look here also, JG Summit is doing not so well, from 17 billion a year to almost negative 1 billion this year. So some are doing well, some are doing so and so. Even San Miguel Corporation is not immune from generating 26 billion last year to negative 4 billion. So, this is a sign that they businesses has to wake up, that you cannot just be greedy to the point of concerning the short-term gains. You have to ensure that your business is sound, so that if crisis like this occurs, you can stave off the critical, the difficult time, and once it passes, then you can go back to your normal trajectory of looking for growth, for more profit, for more revenue. Now, speaking of retailers and consumer goods, so you can see here, uh, the chicken here, the chicken sad. So Jollibee, as mentioned earlier, has lost almost 12 billion pesos here. Same boat, Maxis Group, lost almost a billion. Shakey's is also half a billion. So many industries that you normally think that they would do well are not doing so well. But if you're going to do poorly, you want to minimize it, not to the point that Jollibee is in the boat right now. But obviously, one of the key culprits here is obviously they bought companies like Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, as well as Smash Burgers, which necessitate, that's why they are in the red in terms of 12 billion. That's a large sum of money. Now, for other companies, Pure Gold was doing well. So let's take a look here. So you can see here, Pure Gold is even doing better than they were the year before. Now, obviously, in terms of their business strategy, they're a standalone grocery store wherein it's accessible to almost everyone. So they're strategically located in different areas in the metro. Now, with the likes of All Home not doing so well, but their earnings still positive. Robinson Retail as well, and Metro Retail is doing the opposite. So even Universal Robina is doing well, as well as Century Pacific Food. Obviously, those who are doing well are considered basic necessities or consumer goods that everyone needs, that are affordable, and whether it's domestic and global, you can see the patterns are somewhat similar. People only prioritize what they need, and then if they have access, they tend to buy stuff that they want, that is available, that can be used at home.